Ram Ram Baba.
Ram Ram, how you
How
doing?
are you?
Very good. How are you?
Yeah, very, very well. How's your day been so far?
Very nice. Very
You went for
wonderful.
another swim today?
Not today. Not today. It was a bit more cloudy today, so I
Yeah,
just
right,
had a
right, right.
nice walk. But yeah,
Wonderful, wonderful. I've not yet been able to get out. It's been one of those days where I've just been stuck indoors in one sense, but
yeah,
it's been productive. I've got a lot done, which is fantastic as well. Thank you so
wonderful.
much for joining us again, Sam. I really appreciate it.
Very
And
happy
thank
to
you
be
for all
here.
the guys that are tuning in as well. Thank you all so, so much for joining this conversation. Let us know where you're tuning in from, how your Wednesday was, what you've been up to. If there's something spiritual that's happened for you today, maybe you want to share that with us. That'd be lovely. We can read that
Mm,
out. But I wanted to see, we're going to get stuck in today on this conversation on the soul. And the reason why is because a lot of people in these conversations have been speaking about this concept of holistically living mind, body, and soul. And so many people are quite familiar with mind and body and how we can, keep that healthy, keep that in a fit state in one sense. But this word, the S word, soul, many people are now kind of approaching it and seeing more and more that this is something that they need to nourish, they need to take care of. So I wanted to ask Sam what his thoughts are on the soul, on what the soul means to him, and any thoughts you have on that, really.
yeah, to me, the soul is our very being, is our very. Um, I feel like it's that which cannot be tainted by anything. We live a lot in our kind of personality and trying to make our mental and physical state that becomes a very important thing for
Yeah,
us, but very rare is it for a human being to inquire into what we might call the soul or the self or our divine nature, our being,
mm,
whatever word you want to call it, consciousness. I would say it's the same thing.
yeah,
The soul really to me is that the self which is beyond our thinking, beyond our physical form, beyond this world even, and yet it's from that which all life comes, all life springs from that
beautiful.
place. And so is there anything we can do? There are things that are helpful to help us to again place the attention back inward, because so much of our attention is focusing outward, is so much focusing on the things which are fleeting in the world and things which are constantly coming and going, all the ups and downs and the play of life. But rare is it that a human being actually takes their attention inward and finds that space where nothing is happening. And yet, in that, there is peace, there is joy, there is love, contentment is really, it's like when you say, when we awaken, it's almost like we've been living as if we're asleep, and when this
Mm,
word, they say, when you awaken to the soul, to the self, um, you're really just waking up to that which has always been here. It's like my own Guru Muji, he said, when the Buddha realized nirvana or awakened to his Buddha nature, where was it? Was it just in a bush somewhere? Did he just pick it out and go, oh, I found it, I've got it?
right.
Actually, it was always there the whole time. It's just that he did not realize that. He did not discover that. It's really a discovery as something that is always here, which is inherent within us. And
Mm,
yet somehow it becomes overlooked because we place so much importance, spend so much energy and time focusing on the things that are maybe fleeting, and just we're chasing after other things. And our attention is usually focused on our sense of whatever's going on in our own physical reality, maybe emotions. We focus on a lot of emotions, we focus on a lot of things which are constantly coming and going. And yet I would say what the soul is almost like the substratum to all these things. This is the world of duality, the world of up and down, this and that, me and you, good and bad. All of this is playing. And my understanding is that the soul or the self is really the substratum, and it cannot be tainted or cannot be uh, eclipsed. It cannot die. It was never born. It's that which is eternal in us, and yet we
Mm.
appear in this body for a short time. But what the soul is to me is that eternal reality.
Wow, that really is such a nice and beautiful way of clearly explaining the soul and what that means. And I can really resonate with pretty much everything you're saying. It's very much true that the soul is something that people forget about. It's almost like the analogy is given in the Bhagavad Gita about the soul being like a bird within a cage, and
Mm.
the cage being the body. And most of our time is spent kind of polishing the cage, looking after this cage. But what about the bird inside? What about the true self that is Satchidananda, that is, full of knowledge, full of bliss and eternal?
Mm.
We almost forget about it. And it's so true that so much of life is kind of revolving around matter, around material energy, around how to kind of nourish just the body, just the mind. But the soul is like the driver within the car, and how do we nourish the driver in the car as opposed to just the car?
Mm.
And so many nice analogies are coming out as you're speaking. And I wanted to see, do you find that, and this is, you can be as honest as you like, do you feel that you can access the soul quite easily? Is it something that it's daily a part of a journey, some work in progress? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I feel that within my life, if I'm being honest, naturally my own conditioning and the play of the sense of being me, the sense of a person, is constantly coming and going. This sense of
Mm,
me, sometimes, like other days, some days it's kind of, I will wake up and I'll do my morning practice and I'll sit in silence and just contemplate and reflect.
wow,
And during this time, I'm giving myself the opportunity. My guru also says, when we wake up in the morning, we wake up from our sleeping state. But to wake up truly, we have to wake up from the waking state also.
wow,
So in the
yeah,
mornings, it's very important, I feel, to have a practice or something in the morning where we wake up and we almost set aside this time where we can almost remember again that space
mm,
that is here, and just coming into silence, coming into presence, because it's very easy to wake up and kind of the mind starts going and all the things you have to do and
yeah,
everything
right,
else. You just get swept into that stream and you're gone, and that's it,
yeah,
So, things like a japa where we're chanting, or, all these things, they're great because meditation, yoga, they're getting us out of the mind and back into the heart or the soul.
yeah,
Um, so for my own self, yeah, there are practices and little things that I do in order to kind of remind myself, having a
mm,
shrine or things like that, where you can almost like see these beings like a mirror, reflecting back what's really true, as opposed to reflecting back the ego or something else, that is
yeah,
part of our identity that's been created.
wow,
Um, so, but I find in my day-to-day life, little bits of things, they creep in, and being human, we're naturally compelled, with the stream of thinking and things that are arising. We're almost compelled to kind of, our attention goes to them. But I would say the practice was just to come back to the heart, in whatever way that works for you. For everyone, it will be different. Some people, they're fortunate to have a teacher, they're fortunate to have someone who can guide them.
mm,
Others maybe not, so maybe it's through other ways. I found that through music is a great way, singing and chanting, even dancing, moving the body. Yoga is a great exercise. So there's many things, there's not one way. I love skateboarding and surfing. I find that through that it stops my mind and I just become fully present. Because actually,
wow,
if I'm thinking when I'm doing that, I would just, if I'm on my skateboard, I just fall off. So I have to be
yeah,
very aware and very present. And so I didn't realize when I was a kid why I loved it so much, but it was really because of that. I was just fully present. I wasn't thinking about what I was going to do tomorrow or before, or just fully in the moment. So whatever works,
yeah,
whatever way.
yeah. The analogy that comes to mind is this analogy of a tree. My spiritual teacher, my guru, he shared this analogy of how all of us have a tree of life that we need strong roots that support us, our sadhana, our daily practice, which is spiritual. And then the trunk of the tree is that which is your lifestyle, your eating habits, your social habits, etc. And then the crown of the tree is the fruits, where the fruits are born, is your way of giving back and your offering to the world, your service to the world, your savor. And I try to see my life every day in that kind of holistic approach where I'm seeing, okay, what's really missing today? Was it that I didn't do anything with my trunk? Was there nothing in my lifestyle that kind of supported my roots? And that can even be, you know, meditation is said to start the night before when you go to bed. And so, you know, am I really supporting my roots? Am I nourishing my roots? Am I spending enough time reading literature that will kind of encourage my spirituality? Am I spending enough time holistically looking at the whole approach? I think that there's a lot kind of in the way of value and a lot of teachings when it comes to the mind and body nowadays, but very few teachings when it comes to the soul. And I wanted to see from your perspective, Sam, why is it that you feel more and more people are turning towards spirituality? And I know that we kind of saw, well, my parents saw a revolution in the 60s and 70s when many gurus, many teachers came from India to the West. But there seems to be like a resurgence or kind of a revamp of that recently in the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years perhaps, where more and more people are turning to spirituality to nourish that soul. Why do you think that is? Why do you think more people are turning that way?
I feel that maybe I think as human beings, or I feel as human beings, we're always searching, we're always seeking, and
Mm,
the kind of normal story or the normal rhetoric is if you fulfill these requirements, then you will get happiness. You know, if
yeah,
you get the car, if you get a nice house, if you have a nice girlfriend, if you look nice, or whatever
yeah,
it is, you know, that we try to do in order to become free and happy. I feel that a lot of us, we kind of do that to a point where it's really unsatisfactory, and so then we seek in other places.
mm,
Um, for the most part, I think a lot of people turn to spirituality actually through kind of negative experiences, like traumatic
yeah,
experiences, things that happen to them, and they kind of then there's an opening inside their heart where they're actually open to looking in a certain place where perhaps before they wouldn't have. Um, and for others, it's not like that. You know, some people, you know, they go through their whole lives and they don't have any desire to really turn towards
mm,
spirituality in that way. So there's not one way, you know, life and God expresses in many, many ways.
yeah,
And, but I feel that now, you know, I think, I don't know if it's just me or just because of, you know, the circles that we're in, but it seems to be that there's more people kind of open to
yeah,
spirituality, you know, in a broader sense. And I mean, there's so many different paths and so many different ways to suit all the different temperaments of human beings. So I don't know why. All I can say is that within us there is the consciousness wants to wake up. It wants to be free from thinking and desire, and it wants to be free of this burden of being just a little me, just a little person, you know, with its problems and its worries and its desires and its hopes and its failures and its successes. It wants to be free of that story that we've told ourselves for such a long time. I feel that we want to be free of that, and sometimes we look in, you know, the wrong places, and sometimes we look in the right places. We might meet a spiritual teacher or a great book, or meet somebody that inspires us
yeah,
to really look deeper within ourselves. But um, I feel, yeah, it's inherent within us that we have this desire to wake up. I think, and it's just becoming more and more because I guess the way that the world is evolving, you know, it's like this kind of paradox. It's like the more that it gets kind of crazy and busy and polluted, and
yeah,
the madness increases. Also, on the other hand, the desire to wake up and to be free and to find medicine and to find healing and to find
yeah,
spiritual wisdom, you know. So it's like this. It's always, I feel that this world, from my own understanding, is the world of duality, is the world of the
fully.
play of this and that, good and bad, as I said before. And so this world will never be the way that I think it should be, or you
Right.
think it should be, because
Right.
somebody else will come along and go, well, I don't want it to be like that.
Right. Right.
So there's no one way, you know. There will always be this kind of, you know, pull towards spirituality, and there will always be something to go against it. Whatever there is for something, there will always be the opposite, and that's just the play of life. It's just like that, you know?
Yeah, it's so true that when you look at life, like you just kind of described it, that there is so much fueling this energy of wanting more, more, me, my, myself, self, my items, my possessions, my wife, my husband, my children, everything that is in my circle, in my, you know, circumference of control. I can feed that and nourish that alone. And that mentality of kind of getting out of that and thinking less outward and more inward. We can't go outside. Even now, we can't go outside physically. So let's go inward. And you're right, this balance is constantly at play, where the more material energy seems to be flourishing in one sense, the more people are kind of realizing the value of going inward. And I heard this one quote, I can't remember where it's from, but it said something along the lines of, there comes a time for every single person in their life when everything seems superfluous apart from the inward journey. And I think that has to come in some way, shape, or form. If it's not just, you know, through curiosity, then it'll be, like you said, a moment where there's tragedy or pain or suffering that pushes you to think that there must be something more than just accumulating things. And in that respect, I know that you spend a lot of time giving to many people in different formats through wisdom and obviously your beautiful voice and many different other ways. But there's this wonderful saying, I can't remember whether it was Mother Teresa or not, but she said something along the lines of, by accumulating things, we make a living. But by giving, by serving, by realizing we're not the body, but the soul, that's how we make a life.
Yes.
So that really resonates with me. And so much of what you're speaking about is kind of drawing on those principles. I wanted to see actually if you had any meditation to share with us, any songs to share with us,
I would love to
perhaps.
share a song with you, yeah.
Something maybe in topic or anything that comes to mind when you're hearing.
Yes. I have a song that I would love to share. It's called We Are One.
Wow.
And last time when I spoke to you, we spoke a little bit about when I went to Glastonbury. There was this ashram where I stayed, and I hadn't taken my guitar. I'd left my guitar. But when I was there was a guitar in the temple, and when no one was there, I picked up the guitar. And this song that I'm about to play is the first song that came through me after being there for those months.
Wow.
And it's called We Are One. You are so beautiful, you are complete. You are the beggar you meet on the streets. You are divine, you are inclined to be. Well, I pray to God that we will be free. Because I want you to run, feel the grass on your feet. And I want you to share with all you meet. Because we are one race, we are one family. And when you find your soul, there's no room for greed. So come, mothers, come, fathers. And come, sisters, come, brothers. I say come the whole world, see what we learn. Because all I wanna say is namaste to you. So let this light come and shine upon us all. I'll take you all alone. Well, I'm smiling in my eyes, and I'll sing praises in my soul. Come the rivers and the mountains, where we are one for all. Because I know we are one. Yeah. So don't you know we are, yeah. Because nothing can happen without promise to it. So we should find out what we're pursuing. Do you want money and fame, or a piece of the game now? Or are we ready to see and go beyond our beliefs? Cause it's a time of hurt and a time of war, but nobody knows what it's all for. Can't you see money is blind, your God in a disguise? We must surrender to life, oh Namah Shivaya. So come, mothers, come, fathers. Oh, come, my sisters and my brothers. Well, I say, come the world, see what you learn. Because all I want to say is namaste to you. So let his light come and shine upon us all. Because I know where I'm going, and yes, I'll take you all alone. Well, I'm smiling in my eyes, and I'll sing praises in my soul. Come, shout rivers and the mountains, we are one for all. Because I know what I did. Oh yes, I know. And under my mom, she knows. Holy Buddha, he knows. Holy Yeshua, he knows. And Ramana, he knows. Hey Govinda, he knows. The Muji Baba, Yogi Ram Surat Kumar, he knows. But inside of our hearts, we all know that we are one. We're sisters and we are brothers. I know we are one. We came from the same mother. Hey, I'm big. We are one. Maya, oh, Maya, oh, Maya. We are one. Maya, oh, Maya, oh, Maya. Well, I know Jaja knows. Yes, he does. So don't you know? Don't you know? Don't you know? That we are one. Thank you, Baba.
That was beautiful. Wow. If you guys enjoy that, share some love, share some love button posts, and then share some thumbs up. Make it go wild up in here because that was beautiful. Your voice is full of grace. It has to be said. It's so soulful. On the topic of the soul, soulful, full of soul. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
wanted to see from your side if you had any current thoughts or realizations, anything that you wanted to share with us at this time, any prayers, perhaps if you wanted to pray with us, that's also up to you.
Yes, I think something that I've experienced recently with being in Cornwall is that a lot of Cornish people here, they don't want other people that might have houses here to come here because they're afraid that maybe they'll bring the
Yeah.
coronavirus here and that it will spread. And so there's been a lot of like signs that people have made, like "Go home, we don't want you here."
Wow.
Um, and we know about this kind of feeling, you know, and it really stems from fear. And you know, I'm here because my parents, they live here, and my partner Molly, her parents live here. So we were already here, and something that I feel with this song is that we are one, you know, we are one family, and we're all in this together. And my feeling is one of unity and not division, and that we really should use this time to recognize that wherever we come from, you know, however, you know, we look, or, you know, what country we have been born in, or what tradition we follow, ultimately we are one, we are the same, from the same family, from the same tree we come. And I feel like it's really important to stress that in this time, to wherever we can, to serve God in all of his many, many ways, in all of his many forms. And this is my feeling, is that everything is God, actually. Everything is the manifestation of God in some way, shape, or form. And there's a great story, which is called Ramana and the Cat, and I'd love to tell this story.
Please, yeah.
So Ramana Maharshi is a great saint, someone that has touched my heart greatly, and I feel a great resonance with his being and his heart and just his teaching in general. But there's a story about one devotee of Ramana who very much wanted to impress him and show him how much she loved him. And she had this idea that what I'll do is I'll go into the kitchen and I will make him the most amazing mango lassi. And he will be so happy, and he will give me praise, he will give me love and adoration. And a mango lassi is a kind of, for those of you that don't know, is a kind of yogurt drink that is made with fruit. Comes
Yeah,
from
like a milkshake.
like a milkshake, yeah. And so she thought Bhagavan is gonna love this. So she's in the kitchen, and where he is sitting on his taka is in the temple room, in the kind of mandir, which is across the courtyard, is across the way. She's in the kitchen on the other side, so she's making, and she's got this mixing bowl with all the fruit and everything, and it's all going in. And she turns around to do something over here. She's chopping something over here, and when she turns around, there's a cat with its face in the bowl, licking from the bowl. And so she freaks out, and she goes to the cat, get away, get away, get away. Shoos the cat away, and the cat, you know, kind of like runs off. And so she's distraught. She's like, well, I cannot serve Bhagavan this. So then she throws away all of the mixture and everything that she's made and starts again. So she's making a whole new batch.
Wow.
And she's making all of this, and eventually she makes it, and she walks across the courtyard, and she walks into where Bhagavan is sitting, and he's just sitting very silently, you know, in his state of moksha, of pure being, of pure contentment and peace. And she goes over to him and presents to him, says, Bhagavan, you know, I've prepared this to you. And he kind of looks at her like with a kind of stern face. And of course she is like expecting him to be like, oh, my loves, thank you so much, and thinking that I'm going to get all this praise from him. And he kind of looks at her with this stern face. And he said, when I was ready to drink, you turned me away.
Wow.
Implying that the same one that she is so in love with and is so admiring and inspired by is the same one in this cat, is the same one in every being and everything. And so for me, it's a really touching story. And when I heard that story, my guru actually told it to me, and when I heard that, my whole body, I had goosebumps all over my body. Because
Wow.
what it shows is that oneness. You know, sometimes it's very easy for us to turn our backs on somebody and maybe say something unkind to someone or shout at someone. Maybe
Yeah.
we're driving and somebody cuts us and we want to, you know, but to just remember that same one is in awe. That same one is in everything. And so we, you know, it's very easy, and I was just saying it because of the song as well, is that we are one. And I think it's an important message, and I think it's something that we need in this time, is to really remember to, during this time, let's use this to come together, and wherever there's division, wherever there's fear and separation and segregation, let's see that as a sign of the ego, as a sign of space for us to really come back into the heart. So yeah.
Thank you so much. From the Bhagavad Gita, this verse is screaming at me. It's almost like I need to, if I don't say it, I feel like I'm going to explode. It's a verse from, if I'm not wrong, it's the 5th chapter, 18th verse. And it goes something along the lines of, the humble sage, by virtue of his true knowledge, sees with equal vision the Brahmana, the priest, the cow, the elephant, the human, all with equal vision. And it's so true that we can get so hung up on our differences, on the way that we look, the way that we speak, our opinions, our external covering, that we forget that the Atma, the soul, is the same within every human being, every living entity, even a blade of grass, even the tree, all has this soul permeating through it. And so we need to, it's almost a training. Tomorrow I'm doing a conversation. It's weird that you're saying this, because tomorrow I'm doing a conversation with a monk, and the conversation title is Seeing Divinity Everywhere. So it's going to be almost apt that we're speaking about this straight after having had this conversation. Really appreciate you sharing. It's so true that we need to be able, I hope you guys are all appreciating also this point, that we should see what's there of similarity in all of us, rather than seeing the division, seeing what can divide us, seeing that in essence, we all have this one soul in each of our hearts.
Yes, and with that, I just want to say is that the more Sri Ramana also said that all good qualities arise spontaneously from the one who is awake. So the more that we're waking up to our true nature, to that which is beyond name and form, beyond our conditioning, beyond religion, beyond any of these things, the more that we are awakening to that, these qualities which we aspire for, such as compassion, such as love and this deep wisdom, they're naturally arising spontaneously the more that we're waking up. And so for me, I would put that at the highest thing, you know, for a human being, is to start to inquire within themselves as to who they truly are, as opposed to what we've been conditioned to believe we are, you know. And it's very easy to believe that I'm Sam Garrett, the musician, that likes this and doesn't like that and all these things. But I also understand that that's kind of a hoax. It's almost just like a trick, you know. It's not real. It has some reality, you know, it plays out, but it's not the ultimate reality. It's not that which will always be. It's just an appearance. You know, this is my appearance, but it's not who I am. In the same way, if someone was to come in, they might say, oh, there's a red car outside. Whose is it? And I might say, it's my car. I would not say, it's me, because it's something which belongs to me. In the same way that I might say, this is my body. This body is not who I am. It belongs to me. I have this body for a time, but it's not ultimately who I am. In the same way, I might say my name is Sam. But if I say I am Sam Garrett, then there is an identity with the name and the form that believes that this construct is who I am. And I know at a deeper level that this is only a play. And the more that we come to see that, we also have compassion for others. When other people are, you know, playing out their own conditioning with anger and frustration, and there's jealousy or there's fear, we have compassion because we understand from our own experience of those things that's not truly who they are. That's
Mm,
only their conditioning playing out. And so it's not that we have to condone anything, but we can love them for the divine being that is who
mm,
they truly are, as opposed to what they believe they are. And in a way, if we do that, we give each other an opportunity, we give ourselves permission to actually be who we truly are. Because
mm,
sometimes someone might meet you and they want you to refer to them as who they think they are. But the more that we see each other as souls, as the Atman that we truly are, then it actually gives each other the permission to truly come from that place, as
mm.
opposed to acting more from a kind of egocentric place. We're actually giving each other the opportunity to feel and sense our own soul.
Wow, so true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that we're not material beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a material one. And it's almost
Yeah.
just reminding ourselves, constantly reminding. Um, I'm just going to see if there's any comments here that have any questions. Shubham, thank you for putting that verse in there, Vidya Vinaya. That's the one, Bhagavad Gita 5:18. So thank you for sharing that, Shubham. Regina, how are you doing? Dear brother, so does that mean that one should be there for your friends as you would for your guru?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, it's the same. It's the same. The
yeah,
same one that I see as my guru is the same one that I see in you.
right.
There is no separation. Maybe he has uh, attained some realization, some insights, and has
Mm,
crossed over, so to speak, and is no longer burdened and troubled by
mm,
that conditioning. But is he any greater or any more? No, not necessarily. He is simply just a mirror reflecting back to us our own divine nature.
mm,
And I believe that we are all that. There is no separation. I
yeah.
don't believe that there is a hierarchy of some that are better than others. Sometimes I remember him commenting once because he sits on a chair, and so some people they complain and said, "Oh, he's trying to be above everyone because he
Mm.
sits on a chair." And he said, "Well, I can't win because if I sit on the floor, everyone complains that no one can see me. And if I
Damned if
sit
you
on the
do, damned
chair,
if you don't.
yeah, and if I sit on the chair, everyone says that he's trying to be above us now." So he doesn't see himself that way, and whenever I'm with him in his presence, he's just very normal. He doesn't want to be
Mm,
treated with any kind of adoration or anything. He doesn't want that. In fact, he actually
mm,
tells people not to do that
mm,
because he does not see himself above. He sees himself with as one with the entire universe, one with
mm,
everything, and that means that he is no greater and no less than anyone else. That means that we are all that.
mm,
And so yeah, that would be my
yeah.
answer, Regina. I love you
Wicked.
so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that question. I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in. I have to shoot off actually because I've got a kirtan to prepare for. We're going live at 7 o'clock, and I still need to get all the equipment together, all the tech together. But I want to appreciate Sam for giving his kind time. I want to briefly pray with you all as well. Even though if you don't have a belief in divinity, then that's okay. Prayer is universal. It can be something that we can all tap into to even just share good energy with others. So if you can please join me, I'd be really, really grateful. We'd like to kindly offer our gratitude to our dear brother Sam for all of the wisdom, all of the grace that he's sharing in the various platforms. We wish to bless him to continue with full strength and endeavor to be able to share with many more audiences in the future as well. We'd like to send some grace and some blessings to all who are struggling right now, to all that are helping those in need, to pray for solace and for deep, heartfelt appreciation for all those that are giving their time, and also those who are struggling at this point with loneliness or any other uh, difficulties in their life. And we'd also like to thank all of the wonderful souls across the world who are continually praying for the wellness of others. We'd like to uh, somehow join in that sangha and that association and be also joined in praying for others. So we like to wish you all a very, very happy remainder of your Wednesday, and praying that you all are strong, happy, full of bliss and eternally full of knowledge also. Thank you all. Ram Ram.
Ram Ram. Mm.
Thank you all so much. Please forgive me for leaving early. Normally we have these as 1 hour sessions, and I promise I'll twist Sam's arm until we get another session because I think that these are invaluable. It's heart opening and full of grace, and I think that we need to have more of these as much as possible while we're in this solitude. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you all for tuning in. Please do join us again tomorrow. We're going to have Govindas from LA, who's going to be sharing. I think you know, do you know Govindji?
I do, yeah. I actually played at his yoga studio in LA just
Oh, Bhakti
recently.
Yoga Shala.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I was meant to go out next month, but I don't think it's going to happen. It's all fallen through for various reasons. And yeah, so he's going to be sharing tomorrow. And also we have a monk, Sutapo, who, like I mentioned, he's going to be speaking on this topic of seeing divinity everywhere. But we'd like to thank you all for tuning in. Hope to see you guys at Kirtan soon. Sam, when are you next doing Kirtan? When can people tune in?
Kirtan is not going to be till next week now, but on
Okay.
Sunday I'm going to be doing a live stream concert to raise money for Project
Wow.
Angel Food, which is donating food to those who cannot, the elderly people that cannot get out to actually get shopping for themselves.
Wow.
So please join us. There's a link in my bio. The page is patreon.com/gather, GATHER. And we're going to be donating all of that money to that charity. And then also there's a project called Project O, who are then going to match all the donations. So we're going to have
Wow. Jai.
to donate. So please join us. And I'll be taking song requests and anything you want to ask, or it'll be on a Zoom call so we can also interact, which would be great.
That's beautiful. Make sure you guys tune in for that. That'll be beautiful. But thank you all so much. Hopefully we catch each other soon, Sam. And otherwise, stay blessed until then.
Same. Big love.
Ram Ram. Haribol.